back again to talk some more college football, man. We are knee-deep into college football. We're already up to week 8, so it's getting down to crunch time now.
November is the college football playoff, and it's very close.
We are, I think, 1 week past the halfway point, so it is time to get serious.
Yes.
This is the time of the year that you don't really want to lose because you drop down and you might have a chance to miss the playoffs or not getting as good a bowl as you would.
But if you have 10 wins, you're pretty much guaranteed a good spot.
Yes, if you're going to get 9 to 10 wins, you're guaranteed a pretty good bowl. So it's time to really take by the horns. We are going to talk about week 9 coming up, do our predictions for the top 15 ranked teams. But before we do that, we have to recap week 8. And then
week 8. And then look ahead to week 9.
We got a dumpster fire here in the middle, too. It's a stale, smoldering dumpster fire.
But
it's not a roaring blaze because they can't even get a good roaring blaze going. But it's a dumpster fire. But let's go ahead and do our recap of week 8 first. We had our Tennessee Vols
coming off
of annihilation of Alabama, put up another 65 points.
That was a massacre
on UT Martin.
That was a historical, biblical proportion beatdown.
Tennessee had 52 points at halftime.
That's ridiculous.
Hendon Hooker, who should win the Heisman this year, man, that was incredible. Had let's see, what was it? 200. He didn't even play the whole first half. He played the first half except for the last drive. He didn't play the last possession that Tennessee had. He was 18 of 24, which is 75%, 276 yards and 3 TDs, and he didn't play a half. That's just insane, dude. And freaking insane. And Jalen Hyde had 7 catches for 174 yards and 2 Ds, and he didn't play the second half.
Well, I think someone's going to be a contender for the Biletnikoff.
Yeah.
The best wide receiver award.
If you go back to Devontae Smith's numbers from Alabama, who won as a wide receiver, the Heisman, the highest numbers are really, really close to what the Heisman winner was from Alabama.
I'm a little giddy at talking about this offense.
We've got 2 offensive players right now that have legitimate claims to the Heisman. If they continue on the same path they are, then both of them.
If they do that against Georgia, I don't think anyone's to catch.
How about getting what the Maxwell's quarterback, right?
Maxwell Award, and then
how about getting the Maxwell, the Biletnikoff, and the Heisman all in the same year?
That would be Josh Heupel wouldn't get to pay for a meal in his life.
Well, we would also get Coach of the Year because if you do that, you are the Coach of the Year. So I mean, there might have to get a new trophy case to put everything in that this offense might get this year.
I mean, if we beat Georgia and we put up like 48 points, then I don't think Hooker's losing that Heisman.
Nope. But we got to get to a pretty big game this week,
yes.
too. We'll talk about it here in a minute, though. We had Iowa going to Ohio State.
This was I thought, scratch that Tennessee game being a massacre. This was a massacre.
Yes. Iowa is pretty bad, let's just put it that way.
Offensively,
54-10.
I can't think of an offense worse than that in my life.
I think we took Ohio State and the points they made because we knew
Iowa's offense. If you saw it live,
I'm sorry if you saw it.
I am sorry, but that was a piece of crap. That was just a piece of crap offense as you could ever see.
That was horrible.
The first play of the game was an interception.
That's horrible.
The first play.
Game. Throw a pick.
And Iowa only went past the 50 once.
Oh, that sounds like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Iowa's offense is historically bad. They're dead last in offense. They're dead last in passing yards, dead last in rushing yards, every single yard.
Let's go ahead and jump on to our
credit to Ohio State. They did beat them.
They did what they needed to do, but Iowa is probably worse than Vanderbilt, which is saying a lot. We had a top 15 matchup. Syracuse at Clemson.
Syracuse had it, but they let it slip away.
Just let her slip away at the end. Yeah. Clemson probably is the best team in the ACC. I don't know if that's saying much this year. There's not very many powerhouses out there.
But they look like
They do look like the best team that's in the ACC. They will probably make the playoffs, but
I don't think they'll win.
Take them losing the first game probably by double digits.
They don't look as good.
They don't look like they got that pop and power. They look like they're just, we got by that one. That thing. But they are number 5 in the country. We had Ole Miss at LSU. How about them Tigers? Go Tigers.
Brian Kelly with his big signature win of his first
season. That is his signature win. Everybody is now probably off of his back. Well, maybe at least partially off of his back. Because that was just a good old-fashioned beatdown, 45-20.
It was 42-3 run to end the game.
42-3. Yeah, that's right. They were up 17-10,
and then LSU scored 42 points, and they only scored 3 after that.
Man,
Jaden Daniels,
they were up 17. They were up 17-3, and then lost 45 to.
Jalen Daniels had 2 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns with over 100 yards rushing and over 200 yards passing. He looked like a Lamar Jackson out there.
And you say Tennessee's defense isn't that good? We didn't give up that. Tennessee went there and only gave up how many points? 13. Ole Miss went there and gave up how many? 45. Oh, somebody hit him with a mustard bottle, didn't they?
Oh, man.
Oh, we had number 9, UCLA, at number 10, Oregon. I think we call this one also. The best team out in the Pac-12 is Oregon.
Oregon has looked really good.
Yeah,
offensively.
They got their doors beat off against Georgia, which everybody that so far this year's been beat up by Georgia pretty much. But they have come back since then, and they looking pretty good.
They've been on a tear, those Ducks.
Yeah.
I think they'll quack their way to a Pac-12 title if they keep playing like that.
I think they do, too. I think they win it and then go to the Rose Bowl. I don't think they're good enough to make the playoff.
But if there's a spot open, I feel like they could make some noise.
They could make some noise, yeah. We had number 34, Texas, at number 11, Okie State.
Texas
that one was back and forth. Yeah, Texas really outplayed them for the biggest part of the game.
Let me tell you the tale of this game. Mm-hmm. Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, was 19 of 49. Yep.
30 missed passes?
Yes. Most of those were deep passes. Isn't Sarkisian supposed to be the offensive genius?
Yeah, but I mean, I know that that's bad. Man, that's just really bad. And TCU and Oklahoma State are the best 2 teams
in the Big 12.
In the Big 12. How about that? We had Boston College at Wake Forest, number 13. Wake Forest did what they were supposed to do.
What they were supposed to do. Yeah, they won out of Boston College.
They won by 28. Yeah. Wake Forest again is a good feel-good story. They've got a pretty good team, and they'll end up in a pretty good bowl game, and they'll be fun to watch in the bowl game. We had number 24 Mississippi State at number 6 Alabama.
30-6. The defense played great. Pete Golding did a good job on the defense, but Bill O'Brien
is still stifling that offense to score only 30 points against Mississippi State at home.
You know what cops do when they arrest a criminal?
Hey, put them in handcuffs.
I mean, like
handcuffs. Yeah, Bill O'Brien has handcuffed Bryce Young.
I mean, I've told you a while ago that he's going to handcuff him, and what happened?
Yeah, it's not looking good for them. And then the last one of the week, we had Kansas State at TCU.
Kansas State had a 28-10 lead, but they blew it in the second half and let the Frogs
28-0. Nothing.
A 28-0 run, and the Frogs hopped away with a victory. And what a good story TCU
is the number 1 team in the Big 12, and by most predictions as of today, number 4 in the playoff race.
And if they go undefeated, they will be a playoff contender.
They will be a playoff, and they're not a bad-looking team.
And
I don't know how good they would be. They would play the number 1. You know, if they went up against Georgia, what would they look like?
It would probably be ugly, but
it's a really good feel-good story. I'm actually a semi-fan of TCU. I like them pretty good. I like their color,
I love
their style. I love their logo. Yeah, their colors.
I love Frogs, by the way.
Yeah, the Horned Frog. Yeah.
And they're also coached by a first-year head coach, so that just adds.
That's good. Yeah, gives it a little bit extra. All right, that is our recap. Now it's time for a little
Dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire.
Man, this one stinks.
That's pretty bad.
Please let Marty away from this one. Yeah. It is terrible.
Marty the dumpster fire says, here it comes.
Dumpster fire of the week.
Yeah. And our dumpster fire is
Iowa.
The Iowa Hawkeyes. Man, they're having a historically awful year. I want you to give us some stats of just how bad this team is right now. It's pretty bad. Listen to these numbers. Go ahead, give us some numbers.
This is going to give me a migraine. They're only averaging just under 146 passing yards a game.
A game. They're throwing for 146 yards a game.
And they're only averaging completion percentage on those passes 52%.
They're only completing 50% of their passes, 146 yards a game.
And they're not even averaging, they're averaging like 81 yards rushing. Their offense, their quarterback has 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Oh, the stat that got me was tell them about the scoring. It's so bad. Go ahead.
3 times this season, 3 games.
They played 7 games, right?
And 3 of those, their defense has outscored the offense.
What the crap, man? How can your defense outscore? I mean, I can understand one game you get a couple pick sixers or something, but 3 out of the 7 games, their defense has outscored your offense.
Their offense is only averaging 14 points a game, which is dead last in the country.
14 points a game.
We're talking about historically bad.
This is one of the worst offenses in the history of NCAA football.
It might take you back to the leather helmets when they had those leather pads.
That is just horrible, man.
And they're averaging like 6 or 5 turnovers a game on offense. You're talking about historically awful.
You're turning the ball over 5 times and your defense is outscoring your offense. That's telling you something about the defense. The defense is pretty good to keep you. I mean, all these games should be 70-0 games. That is just.
Those are some stats from Iowa. I mean, they're averaging around like 2 penalties a game on offense. I mean, it is special how bad it is.
That is just horrible, man. A historically horrible offense.
And I feel like there's nepotism going on because Kirk Ferentz's son, Brian Ferentz, has coordinated this disaster.
So the head coach has got his son.
And the fans want to fire him desperately, but he said, nope, I'm not going to change the coaches. I'm not going to change anything. You're just going to have to stick with this as it is.
They'll fire the head coach too then if you don't do something.
I mean, well, if I told you those stats, would you keep that guy around?
No. If my defense is outscoring my offense one time, it sounds bad. But, I mean, you're talking about, 45% of the time your defense is outscoring your offense?
I think per game, I was like averaging like 3 points a football game so far.
That's so bad. That is so bad.
You thought this might be the smelliest dumpster fire we've had on the show.
That is historically.
That might be the worst offense I've ever covered on the show.
That might be the worst offense we've ever seen
on the show.
And that's really, really bad. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our predictions for Week 9. We have a early top 15 game this week. We have a Thursday night. Pac-12 at night, number 14 Utah, which is 5-2.
They're out of the playoff conversation, but they're going to fight for a bowl game.
Oh, I still think Utah's a pretty good team. They're at Washington State. They're favored by 7. I think they covered that pretty good.
I think the Utes get this. No, that's Miami.
The U, yeah. I think they get it. Said they're favored by 7. I think they cover that. Now let's jump into the Saturday games. We'll save that one till the 7 o'clock slot. We got at the noon games. We got number 2 Ohio State,
Ryan Day
at
Big Game
James Franklin.
They're gonna lose by double digits.
Yeah, Ohio State's favored by 15.5. I think they beat them by more than 15.5. Penn State.
James.
I think at least a 17-point game, maybe a 20-point game. It might be like 43-20 or something like that, you know. It would shock me if Penn State kept it under 10 points. It's shocking.
Because we've showed you Big Game James's record against the top 10 recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll tell you about Penn State just got through playing Michigan, and Michigan beat them 41-17. And Ohio State's offense looks more powerful than the Michigan offense. So if Michigan can beat them by 24, how much is Ohio State going to beat them by?
Grab the popcorn, kids.
It's about to be a show.
Show us some lights, Ohio State.
Oh yeah, so that one could get ugly. We have now moved up from 8 to number 7, TCU at West Virginia. West Virginia's struggling this year. They're only 3-4.
But they are sneaky at home, but I will give this one to the Frogs.
I'll still take TCU. TCU's favored by 7.5. I will take that one also. We got Florida at Georgia.
The classic rivalry game in Jacksonville, Florida. This is going to be a blowout, though.
I don't know, 22.5 points.
That's too big.
I think that's too big. I'm going to take Florida. Not to win, but to catch 22.5 points.
I would have thought you were crazy if you're picking Florida to win.
No. But I'm thinking 15 points is a pretty good beatdown in that rivalry in a neutral side in Jacksonville. I mean, I would think a 35-20 would be a good beatdown, but 22.5, I'll lean towards Florida a little bit because they've not been playing bad lately. They've just been playing bad enough to lose
some of those games.
So, yeah, we'll actually take Florida plus 22.5. We got Oregon at Cal. That'll be a beatdown.
That'll be a Hollywood-style beatdown. That's not going to be a regular beatdown.
No,
it's going to be a Hollywood,
it's a Cali.
flashy,
that's an
movie-style
beatdown.
Beatdown.
Beatdown, yeah. For line 17, going to be 20. Got number 9, Okie State, at number 22, K-State. This is a toss-up. Okie State's been playing really, really good, but Kansas State's not been playing really, really bad either.
I might pick Kansas State here.
Kansas State's actually favored by 1.5, and I probably agree with you. I think this is probably a field goal game, and I think Kansas wins that by 3 points. Kansas State, I mean. We got Wake Forest at Louisville.
Louisville's in a little bit of turmoil. Wake Forest is coming off a good season last year and a good one now.
Yeah, Wake's favored by 3.5. I think that's a little light. I think Wake Forest might beat them by quite a bit more than 3.5.
10 plus.
Yeah, I think that too. Jumping on down to the 7 o'clock games. We'll go ahead and do USC first. We got USC at Arizona. USC's favored by 15.5.
Coming off a last-second loss to Utah, Lincoln Riley looking to regroup the troops.
They will try to beat the doors off of Arizona just to prove a point that, hey, that was just a mistake last week. So this is probably a 20-point game. And then our game of the week in the 7 o'clock slot, number 19, Kentucky, at
the high-powered offense at Tennessee.
The number 3 Tennessee Vols. And Tennessee is doing dark mode. Did you see those unis?
Yeah, they were doing black uniforms.
Gosh. See, I'm a 55-year-old, 54, 55. I'm an old man, and I'm sort of a purist, but man, those black uniforms look good. That's some good Thanksgiving unis, man. I mean, really, really good.
And Tennessee will win the game. That's what
yeah, Tennessee's favored by 12.5.
This might be a struggle at first because our defense has injuries all over the place. But
this will be, where Tennessee is the 5th fastest team in the country calling plays, Kentucky is the slowest play team. They're 131st in the time of playing call. So they're that slow. As fast as Tennessee is, they're that slow. See, that will be their key to trying to keep this game close is playing slow. The only way that you can play slow is if you're not down by 17 points. Tennessee, if they hold true, they will come out and it'll be 14-3 like that, and then you will have to come out of your shell of being slow and have to play catch-up football.
And that's going to be doom.
Kentucky is also has the worst percentage in the SEC of protecting their quarterback.
So pass rush is important.
If you get out of the run and you have to go to the pass, Tennessee's going to clamp up. I have this thing at 41-27. 41-24. Tennessee. I have this as a 17-point game. I have Tennessee covering by 5-ish on this one. So I think it will start out as a little bit of a struggle, but as Tennessee gets up 14, 17, 24 points, and Kentucky, I think Kentucky will have to pull out of their shell and try to pass. They've got a great passing game, but good passing quarterback, but they do struggle protecting him a little bit this year, worse than they did last year. So we got Tennessee. Man, how about Tennessee is exciting to watch, isn't it?
Well, regardless of how we finish, I feel like this is going to be a memorable year.
Yeah, I mean, even if Tennessee slips up, loses the Kentucky game, slips up, you loses the Georgia game, we end up 10-2, going to the Sugar Bowl. Hooray! I mean, that's 2 games better than I was hoping at the. I would have taken 8-4 and loved it at the beginning of the year. Now we're like, playoffs? You say playoffs? Oh, Tennessee right now would be ranked number 1 in the playoffs.
Based on resume.
How about that? All right, let's jump on into the rest of them here. We got Michigan State in the 7:30 slot going to Michigan. Beat down. This may be one of the biggest blowouts of the week.
Bigger game, Jim.
Michigan, we've been calling it all year. Michigan's a pretty good team. You can just tell by the crispness of their playing. They will win. Line's 23. That's going to be boring in that. We got number 15, Ole Miss, dropped down the top 10, going to A&M. Man, this is A&M's season, ain't it?
A&M has really struggled offensively. They're not Iowa bad, but they're not good.
No, Mississippi's favored by 2. I'm going to take Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss loses 2 in a row, and I don't think it's going to be a 1-point game. So I think it's 3-7 maybe. 24-17 type game. I think Ole Miss comes out and takes care of business, and that will be the beginning of the end for our man out in Texas A&M, which I thought that's shocking to me still yet. And our last top 15 matchup is Stanford late night, 10:30 at the UCLA Bruins. UCLA coming off of that L
against Oregon, will
beat the doors off of Stanford. You know, they will again try to make a point.
We get from Chip Kelly?
These actually should be surprised. They will try again, like USC. You have to prove that was a fluke last week. That you're still a good team. You deserve that Rose Bowl, so you got to keep on winning. Line 16.5. It's probably going to be 20. Anyway, that is it. That is our college football for this week. We hope you had a little fun with us. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit
Groovy Baby button.
Share us with your friends. Hit the Groovy Baby button over there somewhere. And we'll see you for some more college football next week.
If you have any doubt in your mind that you can't get a job out there, remember, Iowa's offense exists.
Yes.
See you next week.
He's getting paid for that. See you next week.